Time has come once again to speak as co-creators in Magic Do. I'm Daniel Dubois,
I'm Michaela Gavin-Stone.
and we're your guides on your journey into the heart of the primordial. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 6, To Whom It May Concern.
Ooh, I like that one.
Hmm. Michaela and I had no idea what the hell we were going to do, so like totally blanks, but we decided to record early, so there must
Yeah.
be a message coming.
Well,
And
let me just start.
sure.
I'll just start talking and we'll see what comes up. And I
Hmm.
think there may be a little inward journey later. We'll see what comes through. Um, but with all the turmoil in the world, we are 1 week into January. We are just starting the second week, and the US is exploding in unprecedented ways, like stuff you could not possibly imagine. And I think, well, I mean, you couldn't imagine it before it happens, and then it's like, what?
Hmm.
What is happening? Why? How? All those questions. Like, if you stop asking those questions, you've become desensitized, and that's a bad thing, right?
Yep.
I gotta say, you need to stay aware and alert and awake to what's going on, and don't accept it. There is no new normal. That's a key thing.
Right.
Underline that. There is no new normal. This is not a thing. Um, but what's been coming through for me this past week, so maybe it'll resonate, is that extra push of like, okay, seriously, step into what you're here to do. Stop hiding and putting out just a little bit in case it's rejected, or showing just a little of what you do in case people don't like it. It's time to just, throw the cloak away and say, fuck it, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. And really go for it. Really step into it. The universe is putting its foot up your ass and saying, it's time now. And that's it. It's been coming through for a while, but there's layers, right? And
Right.
this last week has been a real sort of kick, not just from out external events, but stuff going on in my own life as well. Is just okay, yeah, you got to stop messing around. You didn't think you were messing around, but you were, and now it's time to really just own it. So
Right.
that's what I have to begin with.
Hmm. Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned layers because what I'm going to say next would be confusing if it wasn't about layers. So it is time. That's what 2026 is about. Like we started early to, get the ball rolling. But here's what it's not. It's January is not about resolutions. January is not about, going to the gym, weight loss. This is about really cementing who you are instead, not the external typical January of, oh, I got to fulfill this. I'm going to do this. New year, new me. None of that. This is about really being centered and concrete in who you are. So if it means you look like you're doing nothing, which is different from not doing anything, then so be it. To the rest of the world, that's what it is for you. But what you really are is you're really being secured and anchored in who you are so that you don't fall for these ideas of, oh, this is the new normal or this is fine or whatever. No, it's this is you to secure yourself in your magic. And I'll share because I decided me and Michaela didn't really have much of a dialogue in the beginning, and part of it is because I want to share with her in real time, like with the rest of you, what my week was about because it was pretty flippin' interesting. So I started off, didn't quite start off this way, but I think Monday doesn't matter. Anyway, so Monday was good. I did a spell that scared the shit out of me because I misunderstood it while I was doing it. But as the spell went on, I was like, oh, okay, I got it, I got it, okay. So we'll just say Monday. Baba Yaga and I, and then the angel that I'm working with to do the Renaissance of Magic, and then spirits we'll call the changers because I don't remember what their actual names are because it didn't really matter because they didn't really use names. But that was the sort of on the spot title. So we did some alchemy. And this is where my aside is where it scared the shit out of me is because I totally forgot that was the goal and just kind of got panicked into the imagery that was happening in my head instead. So the idea was before I started the spell, I pulled some cards from my card deck to talk about what are we going to do in the spell, right? And I got Akashic Records, Vibrations, and Alchemy. Which, as I'm looking at the cards, I'm like, okay, is it so simple as to say we're going into the Akashic Records to get the proper vibration to do the alchemy? And Baba Yaga was like, yeah, that's what we're doing. That's part of what we're doing. So we did that, right? And so as we're casting the spell, the imagery going on in my head is so the angel, because it's back in the core in the earth, right? So it kind of came out of the earth a little bit and its wings spread, right? So the visual from pulled away looked like the planet had wings. And I'm like, huh. And then the wings started to flap. And then for a moment there, my brain went, oh shit, we're not moving the planet, right? Because I don't think I had that kind of magic. And then it's like, whoa. And I'm like, as the wings started to flap, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel any tremors. I don't feel nothing happening. And then I'm like, okay, so this is metaphysical movement, right? And then it's like, no, because what was happening was, so the visual was that, so the angel gets out and the angel actually pulled the core of the earth out in the visual, the spiritual core. And then what
Okay.
we did was, because one of the big messages was the prima materia, the first matter, the spiritual matter, that which everything is formed from. And then it was like, oh, and what we ended up doing was we altered the Earth's core till it became golden, as in alchemy, you're searching for gold. So we kind of we changed we transmuted the core, the spiritual core, to gold. So we elevated it, and then it took kind of a day for everything to come back because every time I had to visualize the Earth, it was like broken up, and just I could see the core, and it had to fall back together. So basically, we set up the Earth for a different frequency, and then the rest of my week was basically the day following that. I ended up doing a spell that changed me with the same imagery, like when the angel first went into the earth kind of split, like reality split, and then the earth went in. Well, I did this one with a dragon, and what happened is the earth, no, it wasn't a dragon. Who was, anyway, it doesn't matter. So then I split the same way the earth split, and a dragon came in and kind of did the work it needed to do. And then I reformed, just like the spell we did with changing the earth. And then yesterday, so the theory for that spell is that we change the earth, but I still have to be ready to work in that new frequency. So then I had to be changed. And then, yes, well, not yesterday, because yesterday I had the day off from magic because I needed it. So the following day after that, Lilith came. And Lilith was like, oh, we got something totally different to do today. And then, so we opened the gate, and through the gate came the great challenge, or not the great, just the challenger. And essentially, it did an assessment. Am I ready to move on to the next thing with the transformations we've made? And in the end, even though I have a lot of work to do because a healthy body leads to a healthier mind, it leads to a more healthy experience for spirits working with you. So while I got to work on that, I am properly keyed for the next step. Yeah. So basically saying that there's been a big change and it's time to prepare ourselves to change with it, to tune ourselves to that frequency. That's been my
While
magic
not
day.
accepting, while not accepting the surface stuff, the things
Right.
that are happening, the events as a new normal.
Right.
So I think that's so important. We've been
Yeah.
bombarded with so much dysfunction and disarray,
Mm-hmm.
like just terrible stuff happening, that it's hard to navigate and keep your sanity, right? And the point is, you got to not become desensitized to what's
Right.
happening. Stand in your truth and recognize what's going on for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if something doesn't cut you to the core when it happens, and it's such a terrible thing, such as the murders that are happening in the
Mm.
US right now. Um, I say it in a conversational tone, if you will, because
Right.
there's no point in giving you high drama over it. You're aware of what's happening.
Mhm.
I think pretty well everybody's aware of what's happening. Some people are saying it's not that bad, or well, she was trying to drive over the guy, or all kinds of stuff, and it's like, no, 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 no. Excuses have no place
Right.
here. This is, you know, don't buy into it. The excuse or the argument against the excuse, step outside of that. The truth is outside of all of that nonsense. And as things are changing around us, there's a lot going on. There's different, again, it's layers, right?
Right.
And the stuff that's in the magical realm, if you will, or the spiritual world, that is dynamic. It's active and it's in creation. At the same time, the earth, the beings on it are in destruction. And that's the two things are happening at the same time. And we have the massive task of navigating the physical destruction and bearing witness to it, being aware of it and not accepting it as a new norm in any way, shape, or form, or any aspect of it, right? Um, we need to hold that at the same time as being able to move with the new flow, move
Mm.
with the creation, the magic creation that's happening. The card that I read to you last time, which I don't have
Mm.
in front of me, but I do remember it was 1 foot in the wasteland. Where are you
Right.
still keeping 1 foot in the wasteland? That is so appropriate right now. Where are you still buying into the bullshit that's being spread around on the planet? Step out of that. You don't need to be in the fight as such. You need to be in the creation.
Right.
That's what I'm getting for the current events. Um, I look at the revolution that's happening in Iran, and I was making comments on
Mm.
it 3 years ago when they tried. I
Right.
was posting a whole lot about it, and it got suppressed. This time, I don't think that's going to happen. And in their case, it's long overdue and very
Right.
necessary. I just wonder how long other countries, such as this one, are going to take to get to that place, and hopefully not as long.
That's
Um,
true. That's true.
it can't take that long because it's here it's gone to hell faster than any other country in history. So remarkably so. Nero took longer to destroy Rome
Mm.
than has happened here. In 1 year, it's the planet has shifted,
Yeah.
right? Because of the stuff going on here. So we can't accept a new normal. At the same time, the focus is on your creation magic.
Mm. Yeah. And like I said, so the new golden core, that's the thing to
Mm.
align with right now, to get yourself aligned and attuned to. That's your, yeah. So like I was saying, right, for the many layers, just because to the outside it looks like you're doing nothing, you're not stagnant. You're not sitting here waiting for something, or maybe you're waiting for that. But the time wasn't to do the normal January resolution things. Now was the time to really secure yourself into who you are. And like I said, for the first wave, it's attuning yourself to the new golden core of the planet, the new golden spiritual core of the planet.
I don't know if this feels the same way for others, obviously,
Oh,
but for me, it
yeah.
feels like the New Year's resolution, revolution, the
Hmm.
New
Yeah.
Year's, that was Freudian. The New
Right.
Year's resolution stuff seems just frivolous. Like
Yes.
it's so unnecessary. It's like a quaint custom that no longer applies. And it feels very much that way. Just why are you spending time on that? Again, it's step outside of it.
Right.
Don't buy into the bullshit that is. You know, Companies that own gyms, for example, and supplements and
Mm.
all those good things, I know from experience, having worked in gyms,
Mm.
that you are inundated for the month of January with
Hmm.
people with their New Year's resolutions, and you know full well that you just got to survive the crush, and in a week or
Right.
two they'll be gone because this stuff doesn't mean anything. It's
Right.
superficial to the point that you spend your money, you feel badly because you didn't make it. Why didn't you make it? Well, because you didn't really want it enough.
Right.
You want it, but you're not prepared to work for it or make changes. And we beat ourselves up for that. But you know what? That's not what's important right now.
Right. Well, that's kind of the
Doesn't
message,
matter.
right? It's the January is not about that. January, instead of worrying about well, I've used this phrase so many times now in the last couple of months. This January, make space. Make space for what you actually want to do. Don't go out and do it because you're not ready for that, obviously, because you've come to January and you're waited for January to do it. So it's not your priority because if you really meant it, you would have already started. You wouldn't have waited for January. So now is the time to make space for yourself, to know who you are, what you really care about, what you really where you need to really go versus like this has been sitting on me, so I'm gonna say this. And I don't mean sitting on me like I've really been overthinking about it. Like I have been thinking about it, but for this episode, it's actually being pushed. Like think about dieting. It's not about doing a program, even though I do coach one. It's not about doing a program. It's just start eating the way that is healthy. Don't worry about 30-day challenge, whatever, 90-day. Don't worry about I've got a new program for you. Just this is how I'm supposed to eat. Oh, that's how I'm going to eat. And then everything is just going to follow it. You don't have to do the resolutions. You don't have to do all the big grand gestures. You just, in your head, tell yourself, this is what I want to do. So that's what I'm going to do. So you don't have to start a regime. You don't have to what's the word I'm looking for? To be of a little bit of detriment to my own business affairs right now. You don't need all those things. Those things are good for you if you want help. But for you personally, and it has to be said this way, I have to. Sorry, everyone in the same industry as me, but you as a human being have to. I'm going to use this and hope a better word comes out. You have to love yourself, and you have to love yourself enough to do the right thing for yourself. Now,
Yeah.
you can get help from the outside. I'm not saying you can't, but you are the end all be all of your success.
So while you're on the subject
Right.
of, the diet,
Mm-hmm.
and so we can add exercise into that or
Right.
movement, however you want to phrase it, immediately for people, stories of, well, I can't because, or I have a problem, or you
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. And there's a lot of story that comes up, right? And the big thing for me at the moment is there's just no room for these goddamn stories. Like, put the
Right.
stories down. And again, I have this visual of stepping outside of them and just
Mm-hmm.
what would it be if you made a better choice for lunch today than the one you made
Right.
yesterday? What could that look like? Does it have to be a dramatic difference? No. Is it a little bit better than yesterday? Yeah, okay, cool. Then you're doing the thing.
Right.
So, as stories come up, which they inevitably will, about why you eat like you eat and why you can't stop yourself or whatever the thing is, okay, as those stories come up, whose are they? And just, put them in a slingshot and send them back because you don't need this stuff. Like I'm getting what's landing on me is a
Mm-hmm.
sense of impatience, which is probably coming
Right.
across of just, oh, for crying out loud, can we just shed the nonsense? It's a heavy weight.
Right.
And pardon me, that wasn't intended as a
Mm-hmm.
pun, but it's a heavy weight of judgment, story, limitation. Let's keep you focused here so you're not focused on the stuff you're supposed to be focusing on, right? You're not focusing on the bigger picture.
Right.
And we could spend an entire life dieting and going from one diet to the next and feeling worse about ourselves each time. We can spend an entire life focusing on, I don't like the shape of my nose, my eyes are the
Mm-hmm.
wrong color, I wish my hair was longer, shorter, curly, straight, whatever, right? We never
Right.
want what we have. Why? Because we're told to be dissatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
It's a distraction. It's a focusing on minutiae that doesn't matter. Like, who gives a shit? If your hair's straight and you want it curly,
Mm,
okay, either curl it or don't worry
mm,
about it. Like, whatever it is that's your thing that you don't like about you, um, either fix it or forget it. That's
right,
it. Make the decision and do the thing. And it is that easy. It's a story that it isn't.
right.
And these stories, people make money out of these stories. And I'm not referring to you.
Mm,
I'm also a wild fit coach, so
yep,
we've both done that. And there are principles there that can be helpful. If you don't
right.
know which foods out of all the things you're eating are causing you physical harm, then this is a process that will help you discover that. And then you can make your
Yeah.
decisions from there. So it is valuable if you
Hmm.
need it. If you have a problem with food that it affects your body badly,
Right.
especially in the US because the food's so god awful. It's so messed with, but you still have options. So it's not
Yeah.
an excuse to give up, right? But don't spend your time there. That's not where we're focusing right now. Step out of that and just like, okay, I'll make a better decision today. Even if
Yeah.
it's one spoon of sugar instead of two, like whatevs, it doesn't matter. Just make a decision.
Right. It's you kind of made me find a better wording. You need to change that relationship with the people you're asking for help. They're not making the decisions for you. They're not the end. Like, I keep want to use they're not the end all be all, but they are still your partner in what you want to do. But
They're
you
not
are
the
still
boss
the
of you.
decider. Yeah, they're not the boss of you. They're there to help you along. And
And
that's the word I
here's
was
the other
looking
thing.
for. Mm,
Here's the other thing is
right.
with my bugbear about
Mm,
blame and shame and all of
hmm.
that, they don't have the responsibility for your well-being. You do. So it's
Right.
not, I didn't have a good trainer or that person didn't help me enough with my diet or whatever it is. You get the tools, you use them to your own benefit or lack thereof. But it is your choice. It's not on anybody else, which is why you don't need to wait for something or take a long time to get there. We have these stories about how long
Right.
something takes. Yes, if you want to lose a certain amount of weight, that will take time
Mm,
physically, but getting the process going doesn't have to.
right.
You can start right this second. You don't have to wait for Monday. You don't have to wait for, the stars to align, the full
Mm,
moon, whatever. Like you don't have to wait for anything. You can do it right now. And it doesn't have to be big, momentous. You don't have to tell the world. Just make one small change. And if you want to make another one for your evening meal, do that. If you're about to have a snack and you realize that, oh, I'm not actually hungry, it's more of a habit,
right.
then you can make a choice there too, right? But responsibility,
Yeah.
self-responsibility is going to be key and it will save you a lot of time.
Right.
And it may save you money, but it'll certainly save you time. So you can move your focus to the stuff that matters. If you're not looking after your body, then there could be some questioning as to why not, and then find the reason why you would. Like we are taught to value money over time, for example.
Right.
So let's work harder, let's make more money. But what you're doing is you're giving up the most precious currency you'll ever have, which
Hmm.
is your time on this earth. You don't get to recreate that. You don't get to build more. Money can come again. Stuff as a person who's let go of everything I've owned, at least twice in my adult life, I have literally walked away from
Hmm.
everything. I can tell you it doesn't stay that way for long. You move and suddenly stuff's
Yeah.
coming to you like a goddamn magnet. You can't
Right.
not have it arrive. So you're never going to be without stuff if that's a fear. But we're told to value that and it doesn't matter. Your time is what matters. So don't waste it on setting deadlines and setting future dates and what have you, what have you. No, no, no. We're here. It's now.
Hmm. Yeah.
You did
Yeah.
arrive. This is it. This is the point.
Yeah. This is the moment you've been putting off and anticipating in the future. It's here. But it's funny, in all my magical work for the last year, I can't say this is for everyone, but I mean, Michaela and I have been fairly active in preparing a space. So it's like we're seeing firsthand, or we're getting a look of, oh, there is stuff going on behind the scenes, things that people aren't even, like we probably wouldn't even have anticipated. We're working on and doing and making spaces for things to happen. You know, any change you want to make, we've worked on a bunch of changes already to make that more within your reach from a magical perspective, anyways. Like, and we're still doing it.
And we're openly discussing
Yeah.
different branches of magic, different
Mm.
ways of approaching it. This is called normalizing it, right?
Yes.
We're normalizing what many people are afraid of.
Right.
And, typically human beings are afraid of what they don't know, they don't understand. And
Right.
that's it. That's all it is. It's not a bigger deal than that. That's another thing you can step away from. Like it just doesn't matter. Somebody else's fear of this shouldn't affect you. It's not your problem, And if you're listening to this, then perhaps you've already got there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if other people don't approve. They're talking from a place of ignorance. Ignorance meaning they don't know.
Yeah.
And so why would you listen to them? You got to choose where your influences come from. In human design, for example, if your crown is open or undefined, it's white, it's not colored in when you look at your chart, wherever you get your chart from, then you are literally open to inspiration from the environment around
Mm.
you. You got to curate that thing. Like you got to choose positive thinkers, the people. I don't mean sun will come out tomorrow, sunshine and roses,
Right.
toxic positivity. I don't mean that crap. Um, and smile and it'll all be good, or
Mm.
even you have to maintain a high vibration. God's sakes, no, no, you don't. You're not here to do that. We can't do that. But what you are here to do is to just cut through the nonsense and get to the point.
Right. Mm. There's a pause. There's a cosmic pause.
Yeah, and I know that ended a little weirdly, but that was
Mm.
because it literally got pulled from under me as I was saying it. So
Yeah.
that was how it went. Ah, that's
Well, this,
probably enough of that. Move on. I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, but this episode's had a bit of it's going to be clunky because even in the beginning, when you were talking, it's like my own flow was a little bit thrown off. And then even though I wasn't saying anything or was going to say anything that disagreed with you, it was just how you're presenting it versus how I'm going to present the next thing doesn't quite merge yet. So this
Which
episode's
is
going to be a
fine.
bit like that, where it is the cosmic pause is probably just to let us kind of hash it out a little bit in our heads, like to kind of discuss this part where because it's like yeah, like listeners are probably listening, probably feeling something not fully in frequency.
A little discordant.
Yeah, because
And
there's
we're in those times.
yeah,
Plus, you've done some changing work that I haven't been doing.
right.
You
Well, and
did
that's
something different this week.
yeah, because we both had two very different messages here. Because so I did some work this week, right? That went like really deep into the heart of magic on the planet. And then you're addressing the important part of listen, people, the message that goes with what people have to consider. I think that's the wording. We had two different messages to give, and they at least superficially seemed incongruent.
Yeah, I don't actually have a problem with it from my perspective. It's and the other thing is, for the listener, this just shows you that Danielle and I aren't keep planning what we do.
Right.
If you haven't figured that out yet, you haven't been
Mm.
paying attention. But
Yeah.
we don't pre-plan, or nor is it necessary to be fully in agreement as we go forward, because we're each curious enough to figure out what the other one's talking about and how does that fit? Does it fit? Do we want it to fit? Like, what do we
Does it
want to
have to
do with
fit?
that?
Does it have to fit?
Yeah, does it have to fit? Because no, it doesn't. Um, a thing that just came to me, so
Mm.
I'll offer it. I don't know where it lands, honestly, but in Adlerian psychology, there is a piece there that Adler says, if you're in a discussion with someone and you need to be right, then what that requires in that discussion is, or argument, however you want to see
Mm.
it, is that the other person has to be wrong.
Right.
If you're on different opinions, right? In order for you to be right and have the other person
Mm.
agree with you, they must first acknowledge that they were wrong, their position was wrong.
Yeah.
That immediately puts that person in a less than position. They are lower on the totem pole than you, if you will.
Mm.
Why do we need to do that? Why is it necessary? Can that other person not hold their opinion and you hold yours and you're both right from your own perspectives? But we
Mm.
tend, out of a sense of insecurity and a need to be the boss, if you will, we as a human species tend to push for, well, I'm right. You have to agree with me. I don't feel secure if you don't agree with me. And I need to know that, on some level, I'm the boss of you. This isn't conscious, this is unconscious.
Right.
But that's what's happening when you have arguments with people where you need to be right or they have to agree with you. So I actually like that we are able to, I wouldn't say it's a disagreement, but we're able to have two different approaches to something and it's fine.
Right.
Doesn't
Well, I
matter.
mean,
It's fine.
while you were talking, what kind of dawned on me, Michaela can see my background, obviously, but it's also the same as the cover art for the podcast. And this now, I have my, well, I always call it my wizard mark with my colors, and Michaela has her sigil with her colors, and then there's a blend in the middle. And it wouldn't surprise me that this is the metaphor of Michaela and I are going to be talking about things not separately, but like we're going to have our focuses, and then we're going to blend in the middle because the art blends in the middle, the colors.
There will be, I think there has been and there will continue
Yeah.
to be distinctions.
Yes.
And that's good because somebody's going to hear what you're saying
Mm-hmm.
and it'll land in a way that they can work with. Somebody else will need to hear it the way I say it, and
Right.
it lands in a way they can work with. That's why we have to say the same thing 10 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll be the 10th one, and the person says, "Oh, I see. So it's," and then they'll repeat it back to you in their understanding. And you're like, okay, I've said this 10 times now,
Yeah.
but it needed to be in a particular way for that person
Right.
to receive it. It's like you may have a key for the lock, but if it ain't the right key, it's not going to turn the lock.
Right.
And so, yes, it's still a key, but it's a little bit different.
Mm.
So, distinctions, I think, are probably here to help different people land with different
Right.
things.
Well, a lot of aha moments are going on in my head because
Cool.
I've clicked on to the message of the artwork because like it was the first thing that came to mind. Like when Michaela had said she has a sigil now that she wants to use, and I'm like perfect because I was looking for that eventually, and then everything just kind of all the artwork fell into place. But I never really thought about what it meant, the artwork. I was like, yeah, there's two of us. You get your own thing, I get my own thing, and yeah, we're working together, so it blends. But then what that actually meant kicks in for me now, and it is like you say because some people are going to get it the way I say it, and some people are going to get it the way you say it, and we have already discussed that on the show. But now I'm seeing like the lines of flow, and I'm seeing it branching off, and I'm seeing where I'm kind of getting a sense of where this is going now. I mean, I knew intellectually, but now I got that visceral connection to it.
Okay. Okay. And the sigils are so
Mm.
different. And I think they're very uh, representative of even the way they're presented. Like yours is very
Mm.
strong, sort of almost Viking energy, kind of,
Mm.
rah. It's this very definite
Mm.
sigil and the color, like it's all about power. And mine is variation. It's morphing from one thing to the next. There are
It does
actually
feel
three
alive.
deities in mine.
Yeah, and it
Sorry?
feels alive. It feels alive.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement in there. And there's three deities involved in this, and it's very specific. Each point of it is specific, but the lines are also very feminine. And that's just how it came out. That wasn't a conscious, it needs to look that way. This is how it went. Even though I had your description for how to
Mm,
do a sigil along the lines of yours, that didn't work for me. I
mm,
couldn't do it that way.
yeah,
So, and that's kind of how we roll, right? You
right,
have your presentation and I have
mm,
mine, and neither of us can switch to the other, which is
right,
fine. That's why there's two of us.
yeah. Yeah, so this is important for people. I don't totally have the whole message here, but this is important going forward that we had to actually address this because, like I said, we got the cosmic pause. It was like, all right, stop that roll. We're doing this one now. I like that in an episode. I'm almost a little disappointed when we don't get something that like that that's dramatic like that. But that's me. Hence the boldness of this of my own quote unquote mark. But
That's a good description. It is
yeah,
very bold. It is very bold. It is not subtle in any way,
mm,
shape, or form. It is pointy
mm,
and
it is.
I want to use the word stark because that's what came up, but
Mm.
not in a bad way. It's just unmistakable. That is
Well, I
a
wanted,
really good
yeah.
word. It is unmistakably you,
Mm,
and mine is. It's kind of the way I see it is it's more not background, but it's kind of subtle. It's there,
mm.
but you could miss it if you tried.
Yeah, if you weren't paying attention, yeah, you could.
It's not
Yeah,
the one that draws the eye first, but it's there.
yeah, it's funny. As you were talking about that, when I look at it, mine, the long part at the bottom, now it almost seems like something you can thrust into the ground and go, "That's I've claimed this part. You're not going past here. You can try, but you're not." This is
Hmm.
the line.
It's like a stake in the ground.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, you could see it that way. The whole thing is very pointy, so
mm,
it's
it
it's
is.
very much you're not going past here.
Yeah, that's an interesting metaphor. Never really thought about it that way, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, different way of seeing things, right?
yeah,
It's always been there, so you're used to it. You don't really see it now.
hmm yeah. Well, and that's why, like, yeah, no, okay, I guess not. I was just
No.
stopped from that one. I was going to go back to something we spoke about before, but I think that part of the episode is done.
Yeah, and I honestly don't have more at this point. The big thing for me was that I guess this is a recap of sorts from my part,
Mm,
is the whole don't be distracted by all the stuff that's happening. On the other hand, don't ignore it. It
right,
recognize it for what it is and step out of the bullshit. You don't need to be in the stories. You don't need to be in the pointless arguments. If you're going to take action, whether that's
right.
magical or physical. Otherwise, shed the nonsense. And you bringing up the January 1st resolutions.
Mm,
Come on, man. We've been doing this for how long now? And
mm,
it's a marketing gimmick. It sells stuff that January the 1st is no different to March 1st or June 1st or any other
right.
month. Like, what? Why don't you pick Chinese New Year? Why don't you pick
Yeah,
Jewish New Year? Well, there's tons of different New Years out there because people have different calendars they're working with.
right.
Pick another one. Pick a full moon. Pick a new moon. It
Mm,
doesn't matter.
yeah, because I had the discussion at Christmas time or just before New Year's, and someone said, "Well, because I had got an infusion of cash to start doing some more stuff for the business, for my business and stuff." So it was like they're like, maybe don't do anything right away, and I'm going like, I had no plans to do anything in January. January was just going to be let things go. There were too many. It's a bad time to start tax season wise and stuff like that. Like there were too many external factors that would just make it confusing to jump in. But I don't feel the vibe to do anything right away. I need more to see what's coming before I start putting resources into play. So basically, right now I have to make the space in myself to do that work. That's what I said. January is make a space in yourself for all the things you want to
Mm,
do instead of moving forward and trying to do all these things and clamoring in and then just dropping them at the end of January anyways. let January be that time where you actually know yourself, what you need, where you need to go. Prep yourself for that journey. Don't panic about it. Don't force yourself.
I have a really interesting image that came to mind,
Right.
and that is the Ironman um, competitions or
Right.
triathlons. Pick one of
Mm-hmm.
those where swimming is involved,
Right.
and a great many people are involved.
Mm-hmm.
That swimming starts, and people are getting hit and hurt
Mm-hmm.
and pulled under and crowded out, and it looks horrendous. Like everybody's fighting for their space in the water, and
Yeah.
people are fighting to get in front. There's that image. Then you could just go to the lake and go for a little
Mm-hmm.
swim.
Right.
Then there's that image.
Yeah.
And January 1st, resolutions, rush, distraction into things that ultimately aren't going to make an iota of difference. That's the swimming with a few hundred people around you.
Right.
Whereas going with your own time simply because you've decided, that's the nice
Mm-hmm.
swim in the lake.
Yeah. It's funny too, eh? When you were saying that, it made me think because you start with swimming, that's the most taxing overall on your body for your stamina. So what you're doing in the competition is eliminating all the people with low stamina right away.
Or those that don't have the pointy enough elbows, because
Yeah,
there's an
putting
awful lot
development.
of
Yeah.
jostling for position, and it's
Hmm.
not kind. It's
Yeah.
pretty potent out there. But do
But
you
it's a
want to
great
be in
metaphor.
that?
Yeah.
You want to be in that, or just go for a nice swim in the lake?
Yeah. It's a great metaphor to use though, because it's true. You're all clamoring to get to a goal, competing with each other, and it's like that's not it. Like this is you
Exactly.
about you. You're in competition with yourself, if you want to put it that way.
Exactly. Exactly. That was the message I had
Mm.
today. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than the magical stuff I was talking about, yeah, this is the like other than making people aware of the magical stuff I did, this is the core. It's you're not in competition with anyone else. It's you. This is about you. That's why instead of rushing out, make space for yourself. Sit in there. What are your goals? What do you really want to accomplish? Because losing weight and all that stuff is actually it's pretty superficial. And matter of fact, a lot of that'll fix itself if you actually go after what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yep.
So, all
100%. That's it.
right. There's the mic drop moment. All right. Tonight was to wait. Blah, blah, blah. Even that got stopped. All right. Once again, I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Stone.
Until next time.
Until next time.